In this demonstration, I'm going to go through how to set up work folders from scratch. So I have very limited setup beforehand, just to make sure we go through all of the steps. That includes setting up certificates, because it's quite likely, I think actually, that a lot of people who are using work folders are going to be dealing with storage, and this is talking about certificates, talking about SSL, IIS. So these are technologies that you might not come across day to day. So we'll cover all the steps to get it going. I'm using 3 different machines to do this. I have a domain controller, which will also be the certificate server. I also have a file server, and I have a client machine which is running Windows 8.1. Both of the servers running Windows Server 2012 R2. So I'm going to start off with the domain controller, and I need to set up the certificate side of things here. So I've already got this set up, and it's set up as a certificate server. So from this, I can go in and I can go to have a look at my tools from Server Manager, or you can run this directly, but I really like Server Manager because you can get to most tools. And from here we can go to the certification authority in here. Now I want to expand the server, and then we can see certificate templates. So what I'm now going to do is manage my certificate templates, and we can do this with a right click here. And then it's a web server. So although I'm using this for a file server task, it's actually going to use a subset of IIS. So it's actually using web server technologies. So we go down here, find web server, and from this I can then right click this and I can duplicate that template. I don't want to change the template, the web server template. It might be used for other things. So I'm going to create a duplicate template. Now I need to set up security so that the users and computer accounts can use this. So I'll go to security, go to add, and then I need to make sure that all of my computer accounts are valid for this. So I'm going to go to advanced. I'll list this. It's very easy here actually in this demonstration because I have very few computer accounts. So I'm just going to list just the computers within here. And the computer I'm interested in is the file server. That's the one that's going to be my web server in here. So I'll just do find now, and you'll see there's very few computers actually available. So we can see I've only got domain joined. Actually, just to mention now, the Windows 8.1 client machine is not domain joined. So we only have 2 domain joined machines, the domain controller and file server itself. So file server is the one I'm interested in. So I'm going to add that. And it needs to have a right to enroll here. So we need to give it the enroll permission within here. And once I've done that, I can click OK. Notice already that I've got enterprise admins, domain admins. We also need the personal account to be allowed to enroll. So just to check, we have got enroll rights for that, and I'm using a domain admin account. If you're using another account, obviously you need to add that, give that the enroll right as well in here. So once we've done that, we've got the security set up. There's a few more things to do in here before we carry on. So what I'm going to do now is have a look at the cryptography tab. In here, just to check the minimum key size, you need a reasonable key size for this. 2048, great. Anything higher would be ideal. The absolute minimum would really be 1024, but I think 2048 for this is fine. Obviously, the higher the key size, then the more secure it will be, but I'll leave that as it is at the moment. I also want to go to the General tab, which will just set up the name. So currently called Copy of Web Server. I'll call this SSL Certificates in here. And the other thing I want to do in here is just set up this subject name tab, because in here I need to make sure that we've got it set up to build from this Active Directory information. Make sure the subject name format is set to common name, and then I also want to ensure in here that we've got the DNS name set for the subject name. We don't need user principal name, we want DNS name. And then once we've got all those things set, we can click OK. We can then close down the certificate templates console, and we're back to the certificate templates, and we'll see that we can now right-click Certificate Templates, go to New, choose Certificate Template to issue, and we can find the certificate template that we just created, which is called SSL Certificate in singular. I did this one. And OK. Right, I can now close this down, and we're going to switch virtual machine over to our file server and set up our file server over there. So I'll close this for now and switch virtual machine. Okay, we're now on the file server virtual machine. So I'll just log this machine on. I'm going to log in a domain account, so I'm going to go to administrator on the Contoso domain, and so we'll do at contoso.com and put the password in here. Okay, so this is now starting up the file server machine. Initially, I'm going to continue with certificates to start off with before I add the WorkFolders role. So to do this, I want to start up an MMC console. Just a useful tip actually with the interface that's on Server 2012 R2 and Windows 8.1. Everyone's aware there's now a button to go straight to the start screen, but if you right click that button, it brings up a very useful menu, and you can actually do some really useful things for it. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can have a quick look, but do it yourself. One of the things I'm going to use now is run, so we can go straight to the what used to be sort of start run, and very easy to get to now. So I'm just going to start the MMC console. So type MMC, hit return, click OK, and we need to add some new snap-ins to this. So I'll add remove snap-ins, and we're going to add the certificate snap-in in here, and it's for the computer account that we want to do it this time. Local computer, and finish. So we've got that added to there. Right, I'm going to expand this, and what I'm doing is obtaining a certificate for this server in here. So I'm going to open this up, and we're going to go to Personal in here, and we want to request a new certificate. So I'm going to right click Personal, go to All Tasks, and request new certificate. I'll just go to Next. Okay, we only have the one available actually when we go to this, because we don't have any other certificates, so we'll find it quite quickly. Okay, and there is our SSL certificate that we created, so I'll enroll this certificate, and it's succeeded, and we can finish. So that's a lot of the background information. I think when people have had a go at WorkFolders and they haven't been aware of certificates, that's where they fall over really, because it seems very straightforward, and indeed it is actually once you've got certificate infrastructure set up. But if you've not got experience doing that, those are the steps you need to go through. So we've got that side of it done. We will come back to certificates a little bit, very briefly later on, but the next thing I want to do is to actually add the roles and features. So we'll go to Server Manager. I'm still on File Server, so I'm going to go in here, I'm going to manage my file server, add roles and features, go through the intro screens, it's role based, server selection, local server, I want this one, and it's in File and Storage Services, and then in File and iSCSI Services in here. So if we have a look down to the bottom, then we have WorkFolders here. Okay, select that, and then just go through next, next, and so on, and install it as standard with any feature. It doesn't need a restart. I didn't tick the automatic restart, but it won't need a restart anyway, typically. Okay, so that's installed now, and we now have that feature. If I go to Tools, we'll see that we have Internet Information Services Manager. Now, I haven't installed IIS on this file server. This is a subset of IIS that will be used for this functionality. And you'll see there's some oddities actually when we use this. You'll see it as we go into here. So I'll go into there. Now, here's my file server. If I expand this, it will have a default website. I'm going to say no to this. I don't want the latest features at the moment. In fact, I'm not even internet connected. And if I expand my sites, we'll see the default website. Now notice that this is actually in here. We've got the red cross because this isn't enabled at the moment because I don't actually have the full version of IIS. I just have a subset to allow me to use this functionality. Okay, so don't worry that doesn't appear to be running, and in fact isn't running. We have everything that we need. So I'll click on that. Then I'm going to go to bindings. This is, again, I want to finish the security setup in here. So I'm going to go to bindings in here, and then I'm going to add an HTTPS binding in here. Now if we have a look, we can find our SSL certificate. Now fileserver.contoso.com is the one it's issued for. We can go to view and find out some more information about this and have a look at the details. Certainly it should, if you go through here, the enhanced key usage should be for server authentication, and also on general you should find that it should ensure the identity of a remote computer. So that's okay, that's a certificate. I only have one certificate really I can use, so it's not a huge choice anyway. And OK, and close, and then we've set up the security side for certificates. Now it is very important, if you don't set up the certificate side of things, what will happen is when your client computers are trying to connect, it will appear that they can't find the file server. That's all that will happen. They will just be told that it's unavailable. They could try and go to the website, it will then come up with certificate errors, but if you're just doing it with the wizard, it just gives them a failure. So make sure you've gone through the certificate stage, otherwise you'll get unusual and inexplicable errors because you haven't set up security. So it's very important that you do this first. Right, let's have a look at actually configuring the work folders now. So to start off with, let's shut down Internet Information Services Manager, and then from Server Manager I'm going to expand File and Storage Services, and now we can see we've got work folders, which is that new feature we've installed. So we're going to create a new sync share. We can just do this by clicking on the link here and run through the wizard. Now there's a number of different ways you can do this. You can actually have an existing share, so I have a share I could use there, work folders share. If we use that option, then anyone coming into work would also have access to this through the normal share, so they could access the share when they're on domain join machine. When they go home and they're using a device of their own, then they would use work folders, so they can sync with both. Or I'll do it a different way. Let's do enter local path, and we can browse for this, and I have a folder on the C drive called work folders in here. Now if I do it this way, then it's not shared out with domain users, with normal users in a normal sharing way. So we can do it either way. You can do it just for your work folders, or you could do it with an existing file share. So I'll do it this way. It's time to choose that work folders. By the way, that folder is completely standard. There's absolutely nothing special done with it whatsoever. A couple of choices in here. Do you want to use the individual's alias, or do you want to add their domain on the end? If you've got a multi-domain environment, you probably want to add their domain. I don't in this example, so I'm just going to use their user alias. I don't want to sync everything, but you could, if you've got multiple folders, you just want their documents, you don't want to have, I don't know, virtual machines, for example, would be one you wouldn't want. So you only sync certain subfolders. This situation, I want absolutely everything. So I'll go through there, go to next. Okay, so picking up the name work folders from the name of the folder that I've actually picked. So it's C:\work folders, and it's picked that. I'll leave that as it is in this example, but you could use different ones. Maybe if you were having a sales group, you'd have a sales folder, for example. In this situation, though, what I'm going to do is add absolutely everyone. Now, often you would have a subset of people that you want to allow this. In this example, just for simplicity, I'm going to add all domain users so everyone can sync into this folder in here. Now we can apply some policies to this as well. So we can say that it must be encrypted to make sure, because it's potentially sensitive corporate data, and also the locking and requiring a password is a policy we can apply to that client machine. So we can actually apply policies to that machine if they enroll in the work folders that we're using in here, and you'll see that later on when we do the client. So we'll go through this and then obviously check the settings and then create in here, and you see that very quickly created in here. So we now have work folders set up on this machine. Currently it will be completely empty folder. If I have a look in C work folders, nothing in there whatsoever. But what I'm now going to do is switch over to the client machine and have a look at setting up over there. Okay, so we're now on the Windows 8.1 client machine. Now from here I need to do a little bit of setup, and we do this from Control Panel. So I'm back to my Start button on the left. Again, I'm right clicking this and using Control Panel from here. So again, just the useful shortcuts that this has available now. Okay, from this I've chosen to show all the icons because personally I prefer it, and you'll see that we have an option in here for work folders. Okay, and obviously I want to set up work folders. Now, just to point out, this is not a domain joined machine. This virtual machine is just in a work group. This is set up as if it's the person's home machine. So there's nothing special been done to this. It's not domain joined or anything. So now I need to put in the person's work email address. So we have a person called Chris Preston. Is this person? So chrisp@contoso.com. It is possible, by the way, to do work folders with a domain join machine. It's actually very straightforward, and you can actually set it up as a group policy so it automatically pushes it through. That is actually easier, but what I want to show you is how you can do this with a non-domain join machine. A little bit more complicated, but I think actually gives you a lot of the benefits of work folders. So we need to supply it with the work folders URL. So it's an HTTPS site. That's why we're setting up that's why we're setting up certificates before. The server is the file server, so it's called file server in this case, and it's .contoso.com. Okay, it has to be an HTTPS site to do this, and it will go off and search for the work folders server. Okay, and now it's connected to work folders and has a local location which it tells me C users Jeff work folders. So that's the folder that's going to be synced to my work folders in there. I'll hold my hand up here because that process of setting up takes around about 2 minutes. Okay, I didn't want you to just see it setting up for 2 minutes and doing nothing. So I did a little pause in the video there. It takes about 2 minutes to do that in reality, so don't worry too much if you think, oh, it's not finding it. It's out apparently searching for the server for a couple of minutes, and it's actually setting up as well. So anyway, we'll go to next there. I'll leave that location, that's fine. Go to next. Now this is where I mentioned you have to accept the policies that we set up on the file server for work folders. So I'm saying I accept these policies on my PC. If you don't, you can't continue. So if I turn it off, I can't set them up. But I accept the policies and then set up work folders. Okay. It's now telling me the capacity I've got in here. Currently syncing no files. We can tell it whether to sync over meter connections or not, but in this case it's fine. So now what would happen is if I go into here and it was set up as C work folders, you probably want to set up a quick way of getting to that. Sorry, C users and work folders. Currently empty, and then we could create a new document in here, for example, and I just put a new text document in here for now. Then that will automatically sync up there. So this is now synchronizing my folder on this machine with the server. I can have a look in here as well as you can open the file location, but what I'm going to do is switch back to the file server for a quick look now. Okay, so we're now on the file server. Let's just open up Explorer, have a look at C work folders, and what you'll see is that we now have the ChrisP folder in there. So that was created by the client signing up. So when the client signed up, it created that folder. Now actually, if I try and go into this, you'll see that I don't have access in here So we need to. I could get access as with any file share, but you'll see it's actually secured for Chris P in there. So each person will get their individual folder, and that would then be synchronized. And the idea being, so they're automatically synchronizing it, and it's from multiple different devices up to our work servers, and we've done this within our corporate setup. So that's WorkFolders. You've seen there's a few steps set up, a few steps with security side of things with certificates, but once you've done that, it's very straightforward and a really useful tool to use.